Sourdough discard is a portion of a sourdough starter that is removed before feeding to manage growth and acidity. You can store discard and use it in other recipes. It's not active enough to leaven bread, but it can add a little lift and tangy flavor to all types of baked goods, like these fudgy, chewy brownies. By the way, this lesson is from our gluten-free sourdough class, out now in ATK classes on the America's Test Kitchen app. In this class, I'll walk you through essential things to know about gluten-free baking, including tips and recipes from my cookbook, The Art of Gluten-Free Bread. You'll learn about the best ingredients for building your gluten-free pantry, as well as how to produce and maintain a sourdough starter. You'll put the starter to work in a gluten-free country loaf. Learn at your own pace and have fun while doing it. But first, let's make fudgy sourdough brownies. Let's get started with the sourdough brownies, but first I want to tell you that I have our oven preheated to 350 degrees and I put the oven rack in the middle of the oven. I also prepped a 9-inch square cake pan with parchment paper. This is going to help us lift the brownies out of the pan later on. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to whip some eggs and sugar together. This is going to provide lots of volume. It's going to be a ribbon stage, so really thick, very pale eggs. There's no leavener like baking powder or baking soda in this recipe, so the heavy lifting is going to be done by the eggs. There's also a little bit of sourdough discard in the recipe, which can help with a little bit of lift, especially if the discard is pretty recent. But I would say that most of the volume and structure is going to come from the eggs. So we have 3 whole eggs. These eggs are room temperature, which is going to allow them to whip much better than if you have eggs right from the fridge. We have 200 grams of granulated sugar here. The finer the sugar, the shinier the brownie is going to be. Also, the more emulsified the eggs are going to be when whipped. But you can also use brown sugar in the same amount. You will have a not so shiny crust, but a lot of flavor. And finally, we're going to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. We're going to whip everything together for 10 minutes on medium-high speed until it's super light, thick, and pale in color. Our eggs are nice and thick and pale in color, as you can see. They're much lighter. We're going to let this sit aside while we melt our chocolate. We have 180 grams of 70% chocolate that's coarsely chopped. And we're going to add 110 grams of unsalted butter. We're going to melt the chocolate and butter together over a pot of simmering water. We want to make sure we have a bowl that's large enough that's going to sit on the pot of simmering water without touching the water itself. And this process is going to be fairly quick. Our chocolate and butter are melted. I'm going to remove the bowl from the heat. Be careful when you lift it, it's going to be hot on the bottom. And to this bowl, I'm going to add 50 grams of unsweetened cocoa powder. This is going to intensify that chocolate flavor in the brownie. Okay, this looks great, so we're going to put it aside. Now we're going to measure 150 grams of sourdough starter discard. Now let's finish our brownie batter. We're going to add our melted chocolate mixture into the whipped eggs. Now we're going to add our sourdough discard and 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. We're going to attach the whisk and we're going to whip it for about 30 seconds on high speed. Now our brownie batter is nice and thick and we're going to add it into our prepared pan. Smells so good, very chocolatey. Just spread the batter around so it reaches all the edges. And then we're going to sprinkle a tiny pinch of flaky salt on top. And this is optional, you don't have to do it, but I like a brownie with a little bit of salt. We're going to bake it for 20 to 25 minutes until the top cracks. Our brownies just came out of the oven. It smells amazing in here, actually. You can see some cracks on the edges. It's still too hot to cut into, so we're going to wait 15 minutes. Our sourdough brownies have cooled slightly, so it's time to take them out of the pan. Just lift the parchment and they come right out. They smell amazing. There's a really thin, crispy crust on top and ripples, and I think these are going to be very fudgy. I'm going to cut them into smallish squares. Oof. So soft. You can see how fudgy they are on the knife, but they also feel very airy, so I'm cutting into them. I'm ready to taste one. They're still warm. They are fudgy, as you can see, and that thin, crispy crust I said, with a little bit of that crunch from the salt. And let's take a taste. I can taste a little bit of the tang from the sourdough, but it's not really intense. And I love the saltiness with the chocolate. They're very tender, like I said, very intense chocolatey flavor, very fudgy. You can store these in the refrigerator, tightly wrapped for up to 5 days. The longer they're in the refrigerator, the fudgier they're gonna become. But I don't know if they're gonna make it to 5 days. So enjoy. Using sourdough discard in these gooey brownies eliminates the need for flour and liquid. And the right kind of sugar gives us a thin crust with a hint of shine. Using 2 types of chocolate, dark chocolate and cacao powder, provides fudgy intensity. And the acidity of the discard enhances the chocolate flavor even more. A sprinkle of flaky sea salt adds a satisfying crunch. Now that you know how to make fudgy sourdough brownies, you're ready to take the next step. And with ATK classes, you'll get access to a wide variety of lessons filled with masterful techniques, helpful videos, and step-by-step photos. From knife skills and making hand-rolled pasta to baking and frosting incredible cakes, and so much more. Download the America's Test Kitchen app and start learning with ATK classes today.